We are going to move on to Papa John's and the NFL protest. So why is pizza being involved with the football? Well, it's because this constant topic of discussion during the season has been players' decision to protest during the national anthem and take a knee. We know Kaepernick launched this movement last season. It's spilled over into this season. And now ratings are hurting. And now sponsors of the NFL, their business is hurting. Walt, what is your perspective on this? What do you think the future of the NFL is in this moment at 8:30 on a Thursday?
Wow, you put me on the spot here. I thought we were going to talk about pizza.
Sorry.
I'd love some pizza.
Breakfast pizza? By the way, I had the breakfast pizza at, was it Buffalo?
Buffalo Pizza and
I
Ice Cream.
had that yesterday, and the guy, Rick, he says, oh my God, I love Walter Gray. Anyways, we digress.
So I thought this was going to be catered, by the way, this program, but apparently not. So the NFL ratings are down. They're down about 7% this year over last. But all TV ratings across the board are down. So that could be part and parcel. And I also, and I also personally believe that the NFL is oversaturated because they have games on Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night. It's too much. They're too much of a good thing. So I think that that's part of it now. Papa John's, which has been with the NFL, sponsoring NFL games since 2010, the founder of one of the owners of Papa John's, named John Schnatter, is going to reduce or pull his commercials on NFL games because he feels that the ratings are down in the NFL due to the protests by the players. And he feels that the commissioners should have got a handle on this by now, that it's just run wild.
Lack of leadership?
And he feels that there is a lack of leadership in the NFL, but the fact that he is a sponsor, Papa John, of NFL games, he feels is hurting his business. So there are people who are saying, wow, dude, you feel that people aren't shopping at your pizza chains because black people are kneeling? And that's you're kind of walking a fine line here with this one. So, but Papa John's sales are down, but they're still up overall. They're just not making as much money as they projected. So he's making a statement that I guess sales were up, they rose just 1% at locations in North America, and they had projected maybe 5%. So he's as a businessman, he's like, I'm pulling my ads on NFL games, and there's a ton of people who are saying they don't watch the NFL anymore. To me as a viewer, if I'm watching NFL games and there's protests going on and there's an advertiser, I'm not blaming the advertiser per se. I think that that's a little bit of a disconnect.
Not hand in hand,
so I'm not really sure. I know that Buffalo Wild Wings is going to continue as a sponsor on NFL games. They're not going to pull out, and Kohl's is also not going to pull out. They say they're not concerned at all about lower ratings or the protests. I think people make their own decisions on that, so I'm not really sure what Papa John's up to.
So my question is then, do you think it's Papa John's saying without saying, we don't like you kneeling? Because for me, can they really prove that the kneeling is the reason they're down?
Is it the kneeling or the fact that people aren't watching the games because they don't want to see the kneeling, which is in turn affecting the business?
Well, that's what they're claiming, but I'm wondering if it's just, I wonder if it's just that the owners of Papa John's are like, you know what? I agree with President Trump. The owners need to do more. It's political for them. I'm wondering if that's what it is.
I would, if I were to have to place a bet today, I would say that the owner of Papa John's does support what the president is saying. He is seeing that his pizza sales are down. And he probably sees the ton of posts on social media that everybody sees of people saying, I'm not watching the NFL anymore. I watch it for entertainment, and all I get is politics now. I'm sure, I would bet that that's a big part of it.
At least,
but Domino's is up. There's another pizza chain that's up. So it's not like the nation is trending down on eating pizza. They're trending down on eating pizza at Papa John's for some reason. Some people are saying, why don't you make better tasting pizza?
That's what people are saying in line right now. So Michelle Lee, Papa John's sales drop, perhaps let's get a new style of ... pizza. There's one opinion. Michelle Lee also went on to say that her husband took his custom work helmet off at work. It's a form of his silent protesting, and they've just stopped watching NFL altogether.
Melissa
and Nicole,
go ahead.
Really quick, Nicole Dunlap says every Papa John's I ever see always closes. So people, I don't even. Just
so people don't like about Papa John's.
It's John Schnatter's call. If that's what he wants to do, then that's what he wants to do. I mean, that's completely his call. I would say this though, if the NFL ratings are down 7% this year, based on the amount, that's a lot less than I think the amount of people who are saying that they're not watching.
Yeah.
I mean, if I go on my feeds, I post anything to do with the NFL, and half of the people are like, I don't watch anymore. I'm sick of it. And those are people who generally would support the president.
Sure. Yeah.
But if it's only, you would think the NFL ratings are down 25 or 30% based on social media. They're down 7%, but all TV is down. So it's a small, I think it's a vocal minority who say that they're not watching. You know, maybe they say they're not watching, and then if their team is on, they're like, I'm not really watching. I'm in the next room kind of peeking, but I'm sort of watching
but I'm not.
Like you said, too much of a good thing. It's an interesting take.
NFL is completely oversaturated with games. It used to be Monday Night Football and the parties that went with that used to be special, and now there's Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Monday, Sunday, and it's just
the only day you don't get it is maybe Wednesday.
Pretty much, yeah.
Tuesday,
and
Wednesday.
It's just too much. It's like too much of a good thing. I mean, I love steak teriyaki, but I don't want it 4 times a week. I'll maybe eat it once a week. I don't want it 4 times a week, even though I love it.
I do want to read Melissa Bilo's comment because I think that it's a really good one, Melissa. She says, in sports, I have taught my children to kneel as a sign of respect when someone is hurt on the field. When players kneel, it is a respectful way of saying the country is hurting. I will stop purchasing Papa John's because he isn't supporting freedom of speech. So now that was my next thought. What kind of backlash will Papa John's now get as a result of pulling out? I bet to say that the sales revenue will go down even more now because they've now brought attention to the fact that they're pulling out. And in my opinion, that on the surface kind of looks like they're not respecting the players who are kneeling. I'm just jumping to the conclusion that seeing them pull their ad space and not wanting to be a part of the conversation when the NFL is on, it looks like they now are deciding to take a stand one way or the other.
I think it's a bold decision for an owner of a pizza spot to take a political stance. He has every right to. We are all American and we have that freedom. But I think it's a bold stance to take when you're trying to sell pizza.
Well, remember the beer maker here in California.
You know what? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you both sides on that.
Yeah.
Yes. I think people who support freedom of speech or support what the players are doing in the NFL would see this and go, you know what? I'm not going to order Papa John's.
But you see the other side.
However,
I know
the
you're
other
saying.
side of this is, let's say, supporters of the president will go, you know what?
Nominees.
We're going to Papa John's and we're going to order 20 pies to support his stance that he doesn't want to see kneeling in NFL games, and you will get both
sides.
Now we'll just have to see how that it could be a completely shrewd marketing ploy, but we did see this with a local brewery about a year ago where this happened, and everybody protested it. And then people who agreed with what he was saying, they made special efforts to have their functions there.
But what ultimately happened?
He's closed. He sold.
He sold.
He sold. It was too hot. The issue was too hot.
Yeah.
Knowing your audience. Who's your audience? Papa John's, who's your audience, and then I think as a good business person, you cater toward your audience. If it's about the sales, if it's about keeping your business alive,
unless
it's
about
political
getting
passion,
getting an audience you don't have.
Listen, if I agree or disagree with him, I'm not eating Papa John's. Like that's not enough for me to go and make a trip to get Papa John's. If I like Papa John's, that's the pizza I eat. If not, I'm like, okay. So.
I hope Papa John's did some research before this, showing that their sales are down because you're an advertiser in NFL games, and we're not going to support you because we don't believe in the kneeling. But he did take a hit. He's worth $800 million, and he's lost $70 million based on with his sales being down. So he's taken a hit, and he's thinking and I'm sure that as a shrewd businessman, he's got research that shows it's because of his ties to the NFL.
And Game On agrees with it. He says, it doesn't seem political from the pizza perspective, just not a lucrative investment. Smart businesses don't invest in hurtful financial decisions and situations intentionally. So there you go.
Yeah.
So we're getting a lot of comments on both sides on this. I'll be interested, though, as you said, to see how it all shapes up.
Yeah, Natasha Shebline says, can we talk about something else but Papa John's?